Within the weapon selection of Star Citizen, it can be difficult to see why you may want to choose a submachine gun over an assault rifle. They can fit only size 1 optics, limiting their magnification to ×3 at most, and one would assume that they do less damage than their assault rifle counterparts, based on the fact that they are submachine guns. But when you know where the strengths lie, submachine guns actually have a lot of benefits, and in some quite unexpected places, outperform the assault rifles of Star Citizen altogether. There are 4 submachine guns in Star Citizen at the time of this recording: the C54 by Gemini, the Behring P8, the Kastak Arms Custodian, and the Klaus and Werner Lumin 5. As with the assault rifles guide we released recently, we're going to be focusing on their PvP performance in this video, because really any weapon will do just fine for PvE. And unlike assault rifles, I didn't much use SMGs in my day-to-day play prior to this. So the past couple of weeks we've been using them extensively in both our org training and PvP events. The things we've learned are quite interesting. In summary, the SMGs perhaps have the most divergence in performance between the energy and ballistic variants, with ballistic SMGs delivering good DPS at close range that very quickly declines with distance, and energy SMGs that have a good performance over all ranges but not quite the damage of their ballistic counterparts at close range. My thoughts going in after some early tests was that there was no benefit in using an SMG over an assault rifle, but after a couple of weeks I am now seriously considering replacing my P4 with one of these SMGs as a day-to-day weapon. So let's take a look at the SMGs of Star Citizen. Let's dive in with the first of the 2 ballistic SMGs, the Behring P8 SC. The P8 fires 10mm ammunition at a pretty standard rate of fire at 800 rounds per minute from a 45 round box magazine. Its 2 fire modes are fully automatic with very minimal recoil and a 3-round burst with slightly higher rate of fire. The P8 SMG is very controllable and quick to shoulder in combat. The lack of recoil means you can keep follow-up shots on target reliably. The interesting thing about these ballistic SMGs is that contrary to general assumptions, they do comparable damage to an assault rifle at close range. Within 20 meters, the P8 delivers more damage per second than the P4AR. By 20 meters though, the damage fall-off begins, and by 30, the P8 damage has dropped below that of the P4. The P8's minimum damage is only a third of that of the P4 at 0.5 per bullet, and by 65 meters, this is what the weapon is landing its shots with. This pretty extreme difference in damage levels over range can make the P8 a somewhat temperamental weapon to make use of. Within those 40 meters between the fall-off beginning and reaching minimum damage, the effects on heavy armor go from efficiently deadly to almost completely ineffective. However, as I'm sure you can tell, the ballistic SMGs are really designed for interior CQB fighting, ships and stations, buildings and outposts. And within these ranges, a weapon like the P8 really shines. With its very fast aim down sights and easily pointable muzzle, reacting to situations and getting fire on target is very fluid. The key feature of this weapon, its very minimal recoil, would favour shooting at longer ranges, but its damage fall-off does not complement this feature very well. The P8 is available in a range of colours, so if you have a particular taste, you have options to make it work. The P8 is certainly a usable weapon, far more so than I initially expected, but as we move on down this list, we'll see some better alternatives available. The second ballistic SMG on offer is the Gemini C54. This gun is a firecracker with an extremely high rate of fire. No fire mode here, just glorious full auto at 110 rounds per minute. The C54's rate of fire is what immediately stands out about the weapon, and this causes a significant amount of recoil. Manageable with experience, and short bursts work better, but this high recoil may be off-putting to new users of the weapon. Short trigger squeezes are better, but it's hard to get this gun to fire off anything less than about 5 rounds at a time.
The problem that I run into with the C54 is that no matter what, it wants to spit out like 5 or 6 rounds, which always kicks it up just a little too much.
Because of this rate of fire, the C54 delivers an impressive amount of damage at close range. We are talking Kana levels of damage at 81.43 sustained damage per second. Fall-off characteristics are the same as the P8, So between 20 and 65 meters, this damage level drops off rapidly until almost no damage is being done. But within those first 20 meters, this SMG is a bit of a monster. Like all SMGs, the C54 is lighter and has a more mobile muzzle than any of the assault rifles. Being limited to a 3x optic is not so much of an issue when your damage can only really be employed at close range. Again, because of the damage fall off, this weapon can go from instantly deadly to feeling completely ineffective over what seems like a very small change in distance. Magazines are also used up at a ridiculous rate, with 50 rounds emptied in seconds, so carrying a lot of extra mags is essential. But within the confines of a ship or station, the C54 can take down your enemy very effectively, and of the two ballistic SMGs, this would be my pick. The laser SMGs are what we will look at next. Like I said in the intro to the video, the performance difference between the ballistic and laser SMGs is very interesting. As with any laser weapon, these do not suffer from damage fall off, so any benefits they have at close range over assault rifles are really only amplified with distance. The Kastak Arms Custodian is perhaps the most conventional of the two, with a fully automatic mode firing at 800 rounds per minute, and a weird charge burst mode that fires at 1200 RPM but with a delayed charge. I'm going to ignore the secondary mode because truthfully you will never use it. Now, one thing I do want to point out with this weapon as an unfortunate note. For as long as I have been playing, the model has been kind of scuffed. The front grip is not placed correctly, instead is pushed back so the player hands do not make contact, and the grip actually clips into the trigger guard. It's a superficial thing, but seeing it always kind of bugs me. The Custodian does come in a range of colours, but visually the front grip is a problem. The weapon does 5 damage per shot, which compared to the P4 AR is a little less, but in terms of damage per second, the Custodian is actually slightly higher than the P4. The Custodian does have a recoil that makes sustained fire trickier, but if you feather the trigger, you can keep this weapon on target while retaining a high rate of fire. The damage at close range here is about on par with the P8, though falling short of the C54, but enough to be a very effective close range weapon all the same. And the crucial difference between the laser and ballistic here is the lack of damage fall off. This means that as range grows, the Custodian will actually become even more damaging than the P4. I will remind you again, SMGs are limited in what optic can be attached, so a ×3 magnification is all you are going to get. But there are benefits to weight, maneuverability, and quickness to aim down sights. The visual problems with the model aside, this SMG makes a great weapon across many different situations. The final pick on this list is the Klaus and Werner Lumin 5, and this is a weapon that really surprised me. It is a burst fire only laser SMG, firing 5 shots per burst from a 45 round magazine. What really stands out with this weapon though is that the bursts are almost completely devoid of recoil. When an EMOD stabilizer is added, this weapon can land entire bursts with ease. There is no cooldown between these bursts, so coaxing out a kind of fully automatic fire is pretty comfortable. As with the other SMGs, the Lumin is limited to ×3 magnification, but like the Custodian, has no damage fall off. Landing these shots at any range will have the same effect. And with such minimal recoil, landing these shots is reliable. In terms of raw damage, the Lumin is the only among the SMGs that delivers less damage than the P4 at close range. That is a comparison of sustained DPS, only slightly less, but less all the same. However, at 50 meters, this shifts in favor of the Lumin, and this makes the Lumin an interesting choice. It is lighter and much more pointable than the P4, pretty comparable at close to medium range, and with the exception of a little magnification, kind of better at long range. The Lumin can go toe to toe with some of the other SMGs and come out victorious, while also keeping pace with some of the assault rifle choices. I really do think the lack of recoil plays an effect on how these bursts feel, because I generally dislike burst fire weapons, but the Lumin actually has me questioning whether or not I could adopt one as a day-to-day weapon, replacing the P4. If you haven't guessed already, I am a fan of the Lumin. It would be nice if we could get them in different colours like we have with the Gallant, but as things stand right now, OD Green is your only choice. Still, the Lumin is my recommendation overall as an SMG if you are looking for one. So in summary, the Lumin is, in my opinion, the best all-round SMG. The C54 makes the best close range option, the Custodian is a solid choice across all ranges, and the P8, while usable, feels like its lack of recoil is a little at odds with its punishing damage fall-off. The submachine guns all share the benefit of being very light and very pointable in combat, so if you are looking to retain speed of movement and quick reactions, this class of weapons might just be the choice for you. As always, I want to thank all of you at home for watching, and of course all of our amazing patrons who you can see on screen now. Without these very generous people, none of the videos would be possible, and I am very grateful to all of you for the support. Thank you. We'll be back with another guide very soon on the light machine guns of Star Citizen. I hope you found this guide helpful. If you did, consider hitting the like button or subscribing to the channel. Both help out enormously with the algorithm, and we will see you all again very soon.